So the BACnet client is found under the BACnet tab. If we go to the BACnet client, the first thing we do is set up our devices. And to set up a BACnet device, now this is some other device that we want to read or write properties in, and so we would provide the device instance of that other device, give it a local name just for our reference, a default poll period and a timeout, and assuming that we are using dynamic binding, the rest of this will get filled in automatically when it finds that device. Now to read properties from that other BACnet device, we use read maps. And here we have a few that have already been set up. The simplest form of setting up more read maps can be done right from the tabular page here. Let's say we want to read analog input 3 from the same device and save a copy of it in our own analog input 3. It's as simple as that. Now if we want to look at this read map in a little more detail, just click on the map number. And here we see that we have some additional options. We can apply scaling. Scaling means multiply by the scale factor and add the offset. We have the option of applying some default value after some number of read failures. This can be used to make it obvious when looking at the object value that there's something wrong, like that remote device is no longer responding. So one common value, for example, if we were reading room temperature, which we would normally expect to be, like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, let's say, putting in a default value of -99, if the remote device fails to respond after some number of tries, would give us a very clear indication with data that's obviously invalid that something is wrong. And we can go the other direction with write maps. If we want to write data from our local objects to that remote BACnet device, we do that with a write map. And again, we can click on the object or map number to see more detail. And in this case, we are taking our local analog output number 2 and sending that to the present value of analog output number 2 in our remote device. And then there's some additional options here as well. We can qualify if or how often we want to write to that device. We might not want to simply write periodically, and so we have the option of only writing to that remote device when our local object value has changed. By 0 means any change, or change by some margin if you choose. And then in addition to changing by some value, you can also update when some amount of time has gone by without any change. Or if you come down here and select at least every so often and put in some non-zero number of seconds, then it will become a periodic write that is just always recurring. We have the option of selecting something other than present value, and you really can't write status flags. I'm not sure why that shows up in this list, but you can certainly put in other and select a property number as defined by BACnet protocol and write to some other property in the object if it's valid. And of course you got to consult that other device to see what you might want to write. And then of course you have the option of writing different types of data. Real is the only thing that you're going to write to present value of an analog object. And enumerated would be what you use for a binary object, and unsigned integer for multi-state. And then once you've set up your read and write maps and it's busy reading and writing, you can come over to the Diagnostics tab, and if there are any errors, they will appear on this in a table on this page. And that pretty well covers bird's eye view of the BACnet client.